Okay, so today we're going to talk about the biscuit joiner. I know previously we talked about the pocket hole joiner, and as we progress through some of this joinery, some of these joinery techniques, they're going to get a little more complex. They're going to get a little bit better in quality. I wanted to start with the most basic of joints, and we're going to progress through these. So this is the biscuit joiner right here, okay? And what it does is, as I push on that, this circular saw blade, you can see that comes out, okay, and makes kind of a half moon crescent slot in a board, okay? And this is the fastener. They also call this a plate joiner. All right, most people call these biscuits. All right, it's just a flat football shape, and it's a mechanical connector that what it does is it increases your wood-to-wood contact area when you're gluing pieces together. Okay, so it increases the strength of a normal butt joint. All right, and I'm going to show you a couple of instances where that can be really important. Okay. So there's several adjustments that we make here on the biscuit joiner. Right here, okay, the fence can be set to any angle, and we're setting that at, 90 degrees. Well, you can't see that very well. Okay, we're setting that at 90 degrees. All right, I've got it locked down. Got to make sure all your adjustments are tight. Okay. Over here, okay, I can loosen this, and then I can slide this fence, maybe, up or down. See me sliding it up? That's for different thicknesses of wood. Okay. Typically, I want that biscuit joint right in the center of the thickness of the board. All right. So if I look, okay, this mark right here, okay, right here, this mark right here is the center of the blade. All right. I want that mark lined up with the center of the thickness of the wood, typically, if I want to put that joint right in the center. Okay. Now also, let's say I want to join these boards together like this. Okay. Well, I need some sort of marks, to tell me where to do this. So what I'm going to do, okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to mark the center of the length of this board. Okay, it looks like it's 13 inches long, so I'm going to mark 6.5. Okay, like so. Now, I want this piece to be centered in the center of this board, so what I need to do is I need to mark center of the width. It's 3.5 inches wide, and so I'm going to mark 1 3/4. I don't know who told you you don't need math, but they were wrong. So I've got my marks, and now what we want to do, okay, I've got the mark on the board. I don't know if you can see that. There's also a center mark right here on the biscuit joiner. I'm going to put that center mark, line it up with that center mark when I make my biscuit joint. Okay? But the other thing we need to do is we need to make sure that we're going to make a biscuit joint in the center of the thickness of the board. So what I'm going to do now, okay, I'm going to measure the thickness, okay. It's roughly 3/4 of an inch thick. And I'm making a mark half of that, 3/8 of an inch. Okay, you can see that mark right there. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put let's just clamp this out here. I'm going to make sure we're on camera. It's always better to clamp your work and then you have both hands free to make the actual biscuit joint. So what I'm going to do before I start, I need to set that on there and make sure that I am set. I'm going to make a slight adjustment here so that my marks line up over here. That way I know that I'm marking the center of the board. Okay? Also over here on the biscuit joiner, and this is important. All right? Right here, we have adjustments. It says micro, M for micro, 0, 10, 20. Okay? I stock 3 sizes of biscuits, 0s, 10s, and 20s. What I'm going to do, I'm going to set this to 10. Okay, so that the 10 is lined up with my depth rod, which is right here. I've got the 10 slot lined up with that. Okay? So, right here, it says right on there, that is a number 10 biscuit. Okay, so now that my adjustments are made, everything is tight, I'm going to connect power. As with any machine, always wear safety glasses, tie up loose hair, get rid of loose jewelry, baggy sleeves, hoodie strings, everything like that. Things that can be possibly caught in revolving machinery. So what you want to do, I'm going to line up my center mark, all right? I need to make sure that I'm sitting down flat on the board, that I'm not tipped up like this or letting it sag down here, okay? So I'm going to support it here. I always like to put, and for some of you, it's going to be opposite. I'm left-handed. This is the way I like to do this. This machine, all right, because of the way the blade turns, it's going to try to pull it sideways. The force of the blade, it's like a saw blade. Because of the force of the blade, it's going to try to pull the machine sideways. What you need to do, okay, is hold it tight here with one hand, okay? Your hand is not in danger. The blade cannot come out that far. The worst thing that can happen is a wood chip might hit your hand, okay? Now, I'm going to hold this back here and I've got a trigger. I never want to push and then hit the trigger. Never start the machine, like with any machine, never start the machine when there's wood in contact already with the blade. So I'm going to start the machine and then I'm going to make sure I've got a firm grip here and I'm going to push slowly in, but all the way in. This 10 biscuit size setting doesn't mean a thing if I don't operate this correctly and push it all the way in, okay? What it's doing is it's making a slot that's just a little bit bigger than half the width of that biscuit. Okay, so here we go. Okay, I didn't let it slip. I pushed it all the way in. Okay, and that is half of my joint that I'm making. Okay, that I'm not going to press all the way down in because I want to be able to get it out yet. Okay, so that is half of my slot. Now, half the biscuit joint. I'm going to clamp this other piece. I definitely, I already said this, recommend that you clamp your work so that you have both hands free to do this operation, okay? There's the other half, okay? Now, next mistake I see people make. They glue the boards together and don't put any glue down in the biscuit slot, which defeats the whole purpose of the biscuit joint, okay? I have to lose my camera here. Okay. So when I glue this, all right, I want to get glue like down in that slot. I want glue to run down in that slot. I'm increasing my wood to wood contact, but if there's no glue on that additional wood contact in this joint, then it's no stronger than what I previously had, okay? Because me just gluing two boards together like this, that is not a strong joint because this end grain is never a very suitable surface for gluing, okay? So, as I previously mentioned, when I'm gluing end grain, I like to put a film of glue on there, let it dry a little bit, right? And then I want 100% coverage. And then I'll put another coat on because that end grain is going to soak it in. So understand that in normal circumstances, that's what I would do. I'm going to speed things up for this video, okay? And I'm also, so I'm getting glue down in that slot. Always better to use too much glue than not enough, okay? We don't want this glue joint to fail. So I'm going to start the 10 biscuit there, okay? And I'm going to need to line that up a little better, don't I? Okay, got those lined up, right? And now, and it's not quite all the way together. What I want to do, pull that together. I should have glue squeezing out everywhere. It's a very strong joint, okay? You can see glue squeezing out on both sides. And then the best thing I can do is not disturb it until that's completely cured, all right? Again, the biscuit joint is useless if you don't get glue down the slot. The other thing is, I have to have, if I want these boards to line up on the face and they're the same thickness, then I need to have the biscuit joiner set at the same setting for both boards. Common mistake I've seen, kids working on biscuit joints one day, time to clean up, they go to their next class, they come back the next day, grab the biscuit joiner, don't check the depth, someone else used it, you know, we've got 70 kids in here, someone else used it, different depth, screws up the slots on their project, right? Instantly someone else's fault. Always check to make sure the machine is set up for what you need it to do, okay? So I would clean up that glue, all right, and then wait the next day to sand it. Clean up the bench top, all that, okay? So I can also, this is an example of that's a zero biscuit, smaller, okay? So I would just set the biscuit joiner to 0. I commonly use these in face frames. If I was just putting a box together and I wanted to use butt joints, I could use biscuit joints to put a box together. There's a lot of different ways that we can accomplish all these things. You know, we talked about pocket hole joints on the face frame. This is a better face frame joint. It's strong. It is stronger. It takes more time, a little more complicated. It'll last longer. Okay, you'll be happier with the results. Sometimes we'll build a top. I've got an example here. Okay, we've got a top that has what we call a breadboard end. I've got boards running this way, and then we cap the end with what we call a breadboard end, all right? So this had end grain exposed, and we glued a board to it. The only way that you can really do that strongly, not the only way, but what we're gonna do is put biscuits all the way across this, glue it together, right? Both ends at the same time, and then when it's dry, we're gonna sand the entire panel. If you just try to glue that end grain to a board, things are going to split, things are just going to fall off because it's end grain. So always use a mechanical fastener in conjunction with that butt joint, okay?